What's happening? Welcome to the Amateur Theater. I have with me today a very special guest. I've been trying to get this man into my studio for at least 6 months now, maybe since last January, which is longer than 6 months, but it's been a while. He finally made some time to get over here to hang out, have a little conversation, play some music, and show us what he's all about. Tell us his story. This man is a very talented bass player. I don't know why he's on the Amateur Theater other than he's super talented. And he's going to show you. What brought you here?
Well, you had mentioned it took a long time for me to get here. And, when you get the emails constantly like you send, I'm totally thinking it's a third world country or something that wants to, abduct me or take, whatever money I have. So it took me a long time to decipher that you were actually real.
Oh, okay. I'm not a bot, folks.
Right, that you're not a bot and, trying to abduct me or something. So I figured, once I realized that, and that's what brought me here, basically.
Okay, that's good. It's one of the best answers I've had. Most people are like, "Oh, I flew here. My arms are tired." I don't understand. So, in your opinion, what is the example of a perfect song?
That's a fantastic question. I think an example of a perfect song is an individual type of, thing. It's how we internalize rhythm, melodies, what the message is being given through that piece of music. Whatever it is, it touches each of us in a different way. So I don't really believe there is a perfect song per se, but perfect individually.
At the moment you're listening to it, I guess?
Yeah. The moment
The way
you're
it
listening
moves
to
you.
it, it might touch you way differently than your son or your wife or, a friend that you're enjoying, like when you go to a concert or something and you're with a group of people. I think that each one has their own experience with that given song.
So, seems to be the same answer in general. It's the emotion that makes the song perfect to you in general. Correct?
Yeah.
Music is emotion.
I was going to elaborate a little bit and say that I totally feel like we're all vehicles that can extrapolate different energy resources beyond our understanding, and those are channeled through us in a way where we're able to bring it out audibly.
Okay.
For people to experience that. Some people that aren't musicians, they're listeners.
Right.
Versus musicians are receivers. So they receive, I feel, these messages and can transfer them in a way, in a human sense, that we can understand.
What a great answer. Wow. Wow. Music is what emotions sound like.
Totally.
It's on a giant guitar pick when you first walk up into my studio.
Yeah, I didn't see that, but...
Maybe we'll walk around afterwards. I'll show you. It takes a while to walk around this place.
You have a lot of great things
thank
to
you.
look at.
Thank you. I worked hard to get them all. So, Daryl, I don't even believe it. Did I tell everyone your name?
No.
No, my word. I might have to cut and paste this in somewhere, but we're a couple questions into Daryl Barnes' interview here. And I apologize for that. We had such a long conversation before we even sat down to start filming that it just, we already talked about this. I already introduced him. But I didn't. This is Daryl Barnes. You can find him on Facebook, I'm sure. He may or may not accept your friend request, but you can at least possibly see. So you got some public videos out there people can see?
Many videos
you got
on
YouTube stuff too? Or?
Very little YouTube.
All right, well, Facebook
stuff,
it is
but
then.
Facebook
and YouTube, they hate each other, but...
It's easier for me, I guess, I have a music page, basically, as my Facebook account. You can find me. I post. I gig pretty heavily, steady, and
We'll
post
get
a
to
lot
where
of
you
music.
gig later on.
Sure.
All right. So, what type of music, Daryl, do you gravitate towards usually?
Well, it's not going to be a quick answer, but I can kind of
We
bring
have
you
all
through.
day. It's Sunday. Let's relax.
I grew up, in all honesty, on country and western music. My parents were professional country and western musicians. They played
Okay.
with a lot of big name artists. My mother was a drummer, vocalist, and guitarist. My father played bass, guitar, and vocals. And they would back up a lot of big entertainers like Kitty Wells, Merle Haggard, Conway Twitty. When they came to the area back in the day, they were always looking for area musicians to
sure.
be their backing musicians.
And a lot of the famous people back then used to do that just to get those local musicians out there
Yep.
gigging and playing music that wasn't their own. That's awesome.
So it wasn't, my sister's 9 years older than me. I think the first rock song I heard might have been 5 or 6 years old, and that was a Beatles song, Let It Be. And, because she was so much older. And in all honesty, not being exposed at all to any other type of music than country and western, I didn't like it.
Okay.
I
All right.
I did not understand it. I didn't gravitate towards it at all. And I just kind of let it be, so to speak. And it wasn't until I was probably 10 or 11 years old when I heard my first Zeppelin song.
Zeppelin
And-
does it again.
Zeppelin did everything for me.
If you haven't listened to Zeppelin, because you might not, whatever age you are now watching this video, some of you have heard Zeppelin, some of you have overly heard Zeppelin.
Yeah.
But you should definitely put it in your playlist if you're a musician. There is just stuff in there that will blow your musical mind.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree with you more. They had everything going for them as far as styles of music. It wasn't just rock, it was folk, country, it was everything in between. The songwriting, musicianship was just absolutely insane. I don't think John Paul Jones gets enough credit for his role in Led Zeppelin. The least known person in Led Zeppelin.
I was going to add him to my this or that list, but he didn't make the cut. Sorry, buddy.
But anyways, and I've been playing since single digits, guitar, bass, drums, and I started to gravitate towards John Paul Jones bass lines at an early
Yeah.
age. So I would say my three teachers growing up musically was John Paul Jones, Geezer Butler, and Geddy Lee.
Okay.
So I would literally hibernate in the basement for hours, and my fingers would be bleeding, and taking either a record and going back and trying to find each note that I'm hearing on that record or tape cassette, rewind, play,
Wear a hole.
and finding each one of those notes on this fretboard, which at the time I had no idea what the name of the strings were, what the frets meant, anything.
I still have no idea.
And that brings me to even, on an educational thing, even a greater story years later. My first gig in band, I was 16, and or maybe 17, and these musicians were all mid-20s.
Okay.
And they were really great musicians. And a friend of mine worked for him at this place and brought me to a rehearsal. And I was listening to this awesome band rehearse. And then my friend Mark, he's like, Daryl plays. And I had never really played with people other than my brother and a couple friends from
Yep.
school in the basement. And Pete, the main guy in the band, the guitarist, was like, "Oh, you do?" And I'm like, kind of, I guess, And they were taking a break, and he's like, "You want to jam?" And I'm like, "I guess." So I grabbed the bass, and we played a handful of songs that I knew, and then they're like, "You want to join us?" And their bass player was there. This
Wow.
guy John,
Wow.
that they were replacing.
Oh,
I
did
didn't
he
know
know
that.
they were replacing?
Yes.
Okay,
he
so
did
he
know.
knew.
Everything was
You
on the
didn't.
up and up.
All right. They were
And
just like, get out of here, John.
And of course,
You're in, buddy.
Right.
John, you're still here. Oh, by the way, he's borrowing your rig. He'll come get it in a week from now, okay, buddy?
but it was really interesting what I'm about to say. That's more educational.
John, I thought I told you to leave.
Is we get to the first rehearsal, and I still remember Pink Houses, right? First song on the list, and Pete's like, "This one's out of the key of G," and it's Pink Houses, and I'm like, "What fret is that?" And he's like, "What?" And I'm like, "Well, what fret and what string am I playing that on?" And he's like, "What are you talking about?"
John, we need you again. John, you don't leave.
Well, it was almost kind of like that. He's like, "Are you serious?" And I'm like, I don't know what any of my notes are.
I'll play the
Or
wherever you
strings
want
or
me to
anything.
play.
I'll play. Just give me a number.
Give me this finger right
Is
here.
it 2? Is it 7? Like, and he's like, "I don't think this is gonna work." And I'm like, "Why?" And he's like, "Dude, you were playing like Black Sabbath and stuff the other day. Like, you really don't know?" And I'm like, "No. Like, I have no idea." And he's like, "How are you doing it?" I says, "I'm just playing by ear. I'm listening." And he says, "I don't think this is going to work unless you learn all your notes on the bass." And I'm like, "Shit." So I went home. I remember I was devastated. I went home, but we were going to have another rehearsal the
Okay.
following week. I went home and I went to my mom and I'm like, "Mom, I got a problem. I got to learn, I guess, all the notes on this neck. And I have no idea what they are." And she's like, "Sit down." And like literally in like within 5 minutes.
Wondering why you haven't asked your musical parents. Hey, Ma, you show me the bass?
I can get to that.
All right.
But she sat down and within 5 minutes taught me every note on the fretboard. And then it was a matter of practice and what she taught me.
Yep.
So the
Can
next
we scoot you an inch this way, just so you
Your
don't
way?
hit that microphone?
Sure.
Damn long necks. There you go. He's got this long neck bass. It's just slapping the hidden mic back there.
Sorry.
It's all good.
We get to be closer to it.
That's right. So I went to the next rehearsal, which was a few days later or so, and Pete's like, "Key of G, Pink Houses." And I didn't know really the key, but I'm like, "What are the notes?" And he says G, F, C. I'm like, "Okay." At that point, I didn't know what keys meant.
Right.
But I knew all my notes.
They're on the piano over there.
So
Come
I
on, Daryl.
play it, and then he was actually pissed off. He's like, "Why'd you put us through that?" Thinking I was a punk kid. And I'm like, "What do you mean?" He says, "You know all your notes." I'm like, "No, I didn't." They didn't believe within a few days I learned all my notes.
Wow.
So that was a lesson to me that I still teach to new students that I teach.
Okay.
Is I'm going to give you all the notes on the E string up to the 12th, and then I want you to figure the rest for the A, D, and G string.
Okay.
And kind of like a homework assignment. And they come back and I take a look, but the E string gave them the guide. It's kind of how my mother taught me.
What you don't see in the background is they're like, "I'll show you, buddy." Boop, boop, boop.
Well, now, yeah, Google, YouTube.
That's cheating, folks. Don't cheat. Do it right. If you want to learn and be good and play and have people like, I bet Daryl and I, if I picked up a guitar, we could jam out without communicating whatsoever based on, he'd probably just pick up by ear. I'll eventually pick up by ear. I'm a little bit slower, but usually I try to lead people so they have to follow me just because I'm a little slower at playing by ear, but it's a good thing to learn.
Yeah.
I'm still working on it. I'm still working on, playing by ear, but for me it's what am I playing on the guitar that I can sing to, and what are the notes around the root note that I can sing that aren't the root note,
Right.
which is basically the same as playing it on the guitar. You're just doing it here, and then if you can do that here, maybe you can take that and put it on the guitar. Now you're playing leads, right?
Yeah, kind of, yeah. Yep. Knowing all the notes within a scale And that's another lesson.
Yep.
And that I teach is, when some people are seeing what I'm doing when I'm playing, like my solo stuff, they're like, how are you able to, it's not a pentatonic scale. No, those are boring to me. It's not this scale. It's modes. And if you know your modes in all 12 keys, you can be all over this neck and sound different constantly all the time. And in knowing those modes, it helps you build certain platforms for you as a musician where, one, song learning, all right? If you know, say a song is in the key of A, right? And you know all your modes in the key of A, and we've all been there as musicians where we can't figure out a part of a song. If you know all the notes within that key of A, you have the answer. You can
Brian
figure.
Setzer. I always struggle with him.
Yeah, you can figure out every single thing in any song, knowing the key and those modes that are in there.
Could you give us an example of a mode?
Yeah, absolutely. Do you want me to play?
Yeah, play something.
Sure.
Absolutely.
So this is a song that
You don't have to play a whole song. If you want to, you can. We can do that too. I don't mind.
Yeah,
Let me get this thing right out of your way. There we go.
Sorry.
No, first bass. I have to remember long necks. Over
So
here.
these are modes in the key of C minor harmonic.
Okay.
All right. So what I did is I learned all the modes, and then I'm like, I'd like to write something in that realm. To me, it's a little dark, but it's also like I feel a lot of romantic
Well, minor. Yeah.
romance
yeah.
in it
Yes.
as well. So this is a song I wrote. So those are the chords of the structure of those modes. I wrote all those chords using those modes
Okay.
in the C melodic minor. So now the scale for that is that. Whoops.
Yeah.
So again, by learning all your modes in a key, you can actually create chords. And by knowing all those notes anywheres on the fretboard,
Yep.
you can create little melodies throughout that. You can layer them as well. You can do comping chords on top of them.
And what are you using for a looper there?
I'm
okay,
using
loop
a
station.
really simple RC3 Boss RC3 loop station. It's all
I didn't even see
use.
him hit the pedal. Like he's all of a sudden now he starts talking and the thing is looping. I'm like, when did he hit the pedal? I didn't even see his feet. He was because you were tapping too to the tempo
Right.
that you wanted to play, and you were just in the, and there it is. I didn't even see it. Hear it.
Well, what was interesting is years and years ago, part of your question is like, what am I listening to? What am I gravitating towards?
Yep.
I think is what the original question was. And other than that, I always saw a deeper understanding of bass, but I didn't know a lot about it. And
Right.
this is before YouTube and anything computer-wise. I would just get like guitar player magazines or whatever, and sometimes they would feature some amazing bass player or something. And what I noticed was this guy, Randy Coven, was the main writer for all the guitar and bass tabs. He was actually a bass player, very awesome bass player, and very well schooled.
Well, he's writing the tabs, right?
Right.
And putting it out in a published magazine.
Exactly.
I do know some friends that will, well, a couple of them have passed, but they definitely learn songs from the album that weren't noted right in that magazine.
Right.
Many times. Many
yeah,
times.
there's a lot of typos and stuff.
And we were thinking it might be because they couldn't publish the exact publication of the tablature. They had to make a mistake
that might have been
somewhere,
part of it too.
or copyright infringement, or
Yeah.
they bought a license to be able to publish it. Who knows how those magazines worked?
right, back then.
Who was paying attention to them either, right?
Right.
This is back 80s, people, 90s, long time ago.
And that's kind of like a bass player magazine came out
Yep.
back in the 90s, and I did get the subscription. It was like the first just bass magazine, which was pretty cool.
Sure,
and
Geddy Lee was right on the cover.
one of them,
Yeah.
one of the covers.
He could also be on the keyboard cover too, couldn't he? And the foot pads and
yeah,
all
the
that.
mini
yeah.
Moogs.
Yep.
But I gravitated towards this bass player that was in the bass player magazine called Michael Manring, and this guy really opened my mind completely up that you can do things on a bass in a solo faction. That just doesn't mean soloing,
Right.
but you can create actual beautiful music just using a bass and a looper.
For sure.
And that's what got me interested.
And this is back in the
looping.
90s.
This is back in the 90s.
Yeah.
It's
Probably the same looper.
Yeah, it was the Boss something or
Yep.
other. The different
Yep.
versions of the Boss, bigger looper stations is what he used back then. And it just really was like, wow, opened my mind. Like, I can actually write like decent things on just a bass.
Well, I noticed this almost looks like a 46, like the E string on a guitar.
Yeah, yeah. It's actually a 40.
It's either a 46 or a 52. It looks a little
Right.
small for a 52, but
Right.
wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
These are piccolo strings.
Okay.
Yeah.
All
So it's more tenor.
Are they
sounding.
flat wound or
No,
no? Okay.
round wound. So I started to write lots of little things on bass that I thought was just interesting to me in a solo faction. And even without, I didn't have a looper at the time, but I would have all these parts. So like I'd play like, I guess the main riff, and then I would be doing these other parts, or sometimes
With the main riff in your head.
with the main
because-
riff in my
yeah.
head. And sometimes I could do the main riff with one hand and use this hand to play other parts
Yep.
on top of.
That's cool.
That would actually give me at least, does this idea work or not, right?
And the keys
And
matching
it was
up,
all
yeah.
exploration.
Oh yeah.
Because at the time I didn't know my modes still. You know, Randy Coven exposed me to the modes.
Okay.
But yeah, I learned them.
So
Um,
modes for bass is a lot easier to learn this instrument than, let's say, there's obviously scales, Aeolian. There's so many
That's
scales
a
out
mode.
there. Okay.
That's a mode.
That's a mode.
Yep, Mixolydian, Lydian, Aeolian, Mixolydian.
I was just getting you to have to say all the words.
Oh, yeah,
Ah!
yeah. Those are all.
We're getting a free bass lesson here, folks.
Those are all the modes, basically.
Okay.
And there's,
People misconceive those as scales.
well, they are scales. So, all right, these are the modes.
It's not the pentatonic scale, which only has this many.
Right. This is all the notes.
This is all the notes. There are
Right.
12.
Right.
There's only this many chord shapes for us guitar players, but there's so many notes.
There's 7. So C major. That's the octave.
Yep.
Next.
And which mode is that?
Aeolian.
Aeolian.
Locrian, sorry.
Okay, it is.
Sorry.
Pick out another Greek word and throw it at us, see if we can understand it.
But see what I just played there, if you learn all the modes in the key of C major, you saw I could play all the way up and down the neck utilizing the entire fretboard. And they all sounded different.
Correct.
And the amazing thing is all those same notes, everything that I just did was all the same
The
note.
same 7. Yep.
Same 7. But when you play them one after another in a different,
Position or say, yep.
then they take a tonal quality difference, so they all sound different. So you might have something like a Spanish feel.
Yep.
One might be minor, one is major.
A note to follow, so drink of Shannon bread. I almost watched that movie yesterday. I was bored. Like, I'm gonna put on The Sound of Music. It's on my list. The wife says that you better not put that on. While I'm like, babe, it's music. It's the sound of it.
Exactly.
This is what music sounds like. No, my parents used to make us sit down and watch a couple movies, and that was on the list. That one and Yentl, because it was a musical. And it was about Jewish people who were being persecuted and all of the normal stuff that people remember about Jewish people, which, tragic. I don't want to get into it, so I'm just pushing it off to the next side. It's just these movies stick to my mind, and they were all had to do with music. I don't know if it pushed me towards doing music because my mother wasn't a musician, my dad wasn't a musician. Everyone else in the family, uncles, aunts, they were all musicians, but mom and dad weren't. So how I became a musician blows my mind, more so because I was always listening to oldies music, 50s, 40s, R&B, and that's what brought me to hearing the loops that are working for people to sing melodies to.
Right.
Oh, that note, this note, that note, this note. So speaking of music, is there a type of music that you find confusing? The genre.
Yeah, kind of like thrash or R&B. Those.
Like R&B with a hip hop feel, or
hip-hop,
R&B like
hip-hop
yeah,
feel.
okay, because Marvin Gaye would.
No.
He
no,
played.
he's
That's
awesome.
R&B.
He's awesome.
all right?
Sorry.
This
I misspoke.
R&B, it's more like a pop R&B,
Right.
hip hop kind of thing.
Yeah, some of that I don't know, like the message or I don't gravitate.
And-
I don't feel it.
They put the key of the music so far down in the mix so that the beat and the bass, even though
Right.
the bass has root notes and stuff, but they're just like a driving force, more percussive than actual a key that the singer is just kind of putting out their vocal track. It's
Right.
not a melody. There are people out there that can hit it.
Back in the 80s, I also, couldn't really
Bobby Brown.
understand or like rap. When rap was starting to come into play, until
NWA, I knew it.
until Faith No More
Okay.
hit the
yeah.
scene with
Yeah.
Epic. And
Yeah.
what they did with rap and the integration with, hard rock music and the songwriting skills that they had, it blew me away. It was like groundbreaking for
Wow.
me.
Yeah. Look those guys up.
Yeah.
I totally forgot.
Faith
I'm
No
gonna
More.
be looking that stuff up.
Yeah.
Wow. It's been a while.
Yeah.
A while since I heard it. You know who will have it? One of my producer buddies. He'll have that. Hey, just send it to me. I'm sure I could Spotify it or something, but
Yeah.
it's better to reach out to people and then they're like, "Ooh, what's he gonna need that for?" And then you end up getting into conversations with people. It's more of a touch feel kind of thing as opposed to yeah, I need this information. I could go find it on the internet if I want to, or I could actually communicate with somebody and maybe even get some emotion feeling in and out, talking like we're talking. I like to talk. I don't know if you noticed, I like to talk, but I don't even know what question number we're on anymore. There you go. Do you know music theory? We kind of touched it a little bit.
Right. I never took any classes. I tried. A fellow bass player friend of mine was taking lessons from this guy, very accomplished bass player. He taught for a living out of a local store back in the day, and he did individual side lessons outside of that on the side. And so my buddy was like, hey, he wouldn't mind us grouping together, so it cost us half as much money, So the problem with that is my buddy and I were on completely two different levels musically, so he had to divide the lesson accordingly. But anyways, when I first met this guy, it was actually at his house, and he was cooking dinner for his kid, and he told me, just go in and acoustically just play some stuff that, so I can get an idea where you're at. So
Not plugged in, just...
Not plugged in, but I have a very nice Ken Smith bass.
I could see him walking in going... and he's like, well, I don't have the acoustic. This is an electric.
Right. Yeah. But if you heard my Ken Smith, if I had it with me, acoustically it sounds great.
Yeah, I got one of those back there.
Not even plugged in.
Not the bass per se, but the...
Right.
When you get a hollow body guitar, they sound
And
great.
it's not even hollow body. It just resonates so well. So, I just went in his living room. The kitchen's right there, and I just started, I guess, playing the stuff that I've been writing on bass. And at the end, he comes in. He's like, I don't know what I could teach you. Actually, why'd you come to me? And I'm like, what are you talking about? Because this guy was pretty schooled. He knew like all the modes type stuff, and his playing skill was amazing. He's like, but you're slapping, you're tapping, you're doing harmonics, you're doing all this other stuff I don't know. So he's like, why don't we teach each other? So that's what the lessons actually did, is like whatever he wanted from me, I gave him kind of building blocks for.
Sure.
And then whatever from him. He never taught me modes, though. He just taught me like right and left hand,
how to separate them,
right?
Yep.
Stuff like that.
Yep.
How to get more articulation.
Hey, you
and
need those
develop
building
them.
blocks.
Yeah.
And sometimes someone recapping those building blocks. That's why, like in school, you move from one grade to the next. You recap almost everything you did for the first month from the previous grade.
Right.
It's the best I could do for an analogy.
No,
but
that is true.
It's being taught, so teaching. Not many people have music lessons, so people have gone to school trying to give them an analogy they can kind of work with. Not everybody's a musician that watches these videos.
Right. So the music theory part basically is I learned all the modes and so forth from Randy
Right, because I was
Coburn.
going to say that is theory.
That's total theory.
Yep.
If you know all your modes in any given key, there isn't
Now,
anything you can't play.
In the Aeolian, what would you call the Locrian mode?
Yep.
Can you name the notes, the 7 notes, in the order that you played them?
Yeah.
Like as you're playing them?
Yeah. So it would start in B. So B, C, D, and then E, F, G.
And that's in the C major scale.
Yes. And then A, B, octave.
That's a trick some people don't know about, how to find the actual note to start a scale, be it that scale or any scale really, is you can always go one step below the root note. It's like the C to B. You were in
Right.
C major, but you're
Right.
playing B as your first
Right,
note.
I can do that same Locrian.
Yep.
Same thing.
I learned that from watching YouTubes. So,
Yep.
Going out there.
And, like I'd read articles on different types of things.
Okay.
That would give me some more insight to theory. Again, I'm not a big pentatonic or that type of...
There's only five places you can go.
Right.
This way,
Right.
And then you got 5 places you can go
Right.
that way.
Exactly.
Yep.
So that's probably the extent of
Don't tell Jimmy that.
right. Exactly. The theory part of it for me is probably
Okay.
more that, and it's been more than enough. And for what I've done,
Everything I've heard
musically.
sounds like you know how to play that thing. That's damn sure. Is this
I'm
your
always
is this your
learning.
go-to
This
machine,
bass
or-
actually, it was an idea of mine for like
Looks like a countertop, like laminate.
That's burl wood.
Okay.
Yeah.
Boral, right, which is a big lump that grows off the side of a tree.
Yeah.
Most people make bowls out of it. This guy made a guitar out of it.
And that the black there is black ebony
Okay.
in between the layers, and then swamp ash.
And swamp ash here too?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then maple neck,
Of course.
and then a peril fretboard.
All right. And you design this and
So
have
I
someone make it for
designed,
you?
yeah, I designed the instrument itself. I call it my hybrid because I can play bass or guitar, light
Is that
lines.
because of the pickups,
Yep,
or
yep.
is that where? Right there.
Yes,
Wow.
finger wear.
Wow. How old is this thing?
Um,
I mean, I've been seeing it for at least 2 years.
yeah, it was probably made 2015 or 16, something
Okay.
like that. And friends of mine that I had a musician endorsement with at MG Bass, Mauricio, I approached him about my thoughts and ideas about this instrument, and he said I was crazy. He's like, I've never
Because
made
it's
anything
so
like that.
so high string. I mean, the strings are so light.
Right. Well, that and what I wanted it to do,
Oh, okay.
to be able to.
So they had to come up with pickup ideas.
Well, a friend of mine works for Bartolini Pickups out in
Okay.
San Luis Obispo, and he sent many inversions of what I wanted. So basically, he hand wound these pickups so that the E and A string is wound so it's more baritone,
Okay.
and the D and G string is wound more tenor.
All right.
So I get a different type of tonal sound. So
And
like,
those are special strings you have to special order, and
pretty much, yeah. Yeah.
like String Joy, would they make them for you?
They would, but I get these through a Daryl.
I was gonna say they look like Diodario. I can see the color.
Yeah.
The colors in here usually mean Diodario.
Right.
That's their thing.
Yeah.
Never could understand which color went where. I just know they're there. Might I bring that closer to the camera to show
Yeah, absolutely.
show the okay, sucks. Yeah, that's better. This thing, that's boral wood. Looks like the pickups have the same boral wood over the front of it.
Yeah.
And we
Covers.
got volume,
Yeah.
tone for each.
Selector. Nope. That's a pickup selector.
Okay.
And then basically,
Fatness or
yeah, that's
bright maybe.
it's bass, and then
Oh,
the
okay.
stacked is mid treble.
Oh, all right. So that's how he gets his high tones, is messing with the mids. It's a really nice looking bass. Really pretty. Just make sure.
First one he ever made, Mauricio from MG Bass.
Okay. It feels really light too for bass guitar.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
in
That's the
general.
combination of woods. I wanted it light. I mostly play this sitting, anyways, when I do my solo bass-tastic shows.
Okay.
But
You play a whole 1 hour set for those, or is that a whole
usually
night?
3 hours.
3 hour bass-tastic shows.
Yeah. I've played art galleries for artist opens. I've played
We have
upscale.
so much noise and not noise. You know what I mean? Ambient stuff in the background. that
Right.
You can't
Like
tell it's
upscale
just
dining.
a bass player playing.
Right.
It's so cool.
And that's how I actually bill myself. It's non-abrasive to the ears, warm and gentle type sounds, and it's common. There's
Sure.
no aggressiveness to my music, really. I mean, I do write aggressively, but in a different format, So I'll do like upscale dining restaurants, like I said. I've done weddings, but yoga studies, stuff like that.
Downward facing dog.
Yeah, just to add,
Yeah.
because music is very healing and very
Very.
health related. So again, everybody internalizes music differently, so it means something different for them. And if they can heal, or find joy in that, which has healing
For
properties,
sure.
then I'm a huge proponent of that, of whatever it is.
All right. You're just killing these questions. I love it. So let's say you sit down at your instrument. What's the first chord or line or phrase that you just like? And is it in tune? So I use this to check it. Is it?
I was just gonna say that. First thing I do is tune it.
Which is how I brought my first thing I do is tune it, and I go into how I tune it, and people are like, all I wanted to know is what you sit down and play. Well, I'm not going to play anything till the guitar's in tune, right?
Exactly. That's the
just
first
trying
thing.
to stress how in tune it needs to be.
Right.
As good
So
as we can, right?
I'll quickly just make sure with using harmonics.
Another A, folks. Another A, folks.
Just make sure if one's out, then I'll use a electronic tuner just to make sure I'm proper right in there.
I love it.
But I do want to emphasize that you can tune any instrument to anything that you prefer. And what I mean by that, there is this thing called standard A440 tuning, and that is, I guess, probably the standard, but in two of the musical bands that I'm in, we tune flat tuning. So, which is a half step below A40 tuning. That does two things for a band. One, it makes the band sound heavier when they're playing, it's not as heavy in actuality if they were tuned to A440. And two, it really helps the vocalist last the whole night, as you could probably attest to.
Yeah.
If you're singing...
I mean, I can last the whole night, but I can't last the whole night. You know what I'm saying?
Well, it's not a matter of lasting, it's preserving your voice.
Yeah, you want to be able to talk the next day.
You're not hurting the next day, that you can talk, you have a voice.
You chew gum? Do you sing at all?
Yeah, I sing.
Do you chew gum while you're singing? No?
No.
What do you drink? Teas?
Water. With electrolytes.
Added? Or do you buy water with electrolytes?
No, I buy their Dr. Pete's packets.
Okay.
And they're all natural. They help you if you're intermittent fasting. Yeah, me too. I lost 125 pounds.
I just do it because I heard it flips a chromosome in your body that will make you live longer.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
But it does make you healthier, and you do need electrolytes. What I didn't realize going through that journey is I was drinking tons of water, like a couple gallons a day, which was washing even more nutrients out of my body.
Correct.
Which was putting me into severe dehydration.
Yep.
So I needed to add those electrolytes to bring that back into my, body. But you live and learn with anything.
Is there an actual, that was the key of A to check it, well, the key of E to check that you were in tune. Is there a note that you really like? Well, yeah, I said it right the first time.
Right.
Is that your go-to, A, just because it's middle of the fretboard?
No. Kind of the problem with me, in all honesty, is anytime I pick up an instrument, I write something new. Just when you were using the restroom earlier, I started writing comping chords for something I've never played in that fashion, just sitting here.
This place does bring it out to you.
It could be anything. This is a chord I really like. It's using all four strings. It's minor E with the added D on top versus a regular.
Makes it a 7, right?
Right.
I know a little bit of theory.
So I like to toy, especially this being just a 4-string and not really a 6-string guitar. I have to mimic that. By mimicking that, I can use different notes in my scale, in my modes, to actually mimic it. So I will also sometimes will add even a 5th note with this hand tapping it. So, it adds another dimension to that.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And I've seen you you tap the crap out of that thing on some videos. If you ever run across these videos on Facebook, watch the whole thing, because you'll be like, oh, yeah, but he gets you into the mood, and then bam, later he gives you some other stuff that you're like, oh, that's what he was doing. He was just getting us ready. I love it. So when you're doing all that, do you use theory to write the music? Do you feel you need theory to write music?
Having a greater understanding of theory in general can really help you get over some of the boundaries you might be in. And it did for me tremendously.
It's that plateaus that we're always
Yeah.
talking about. How do you get over those things?
Right. A lot of musicians, they get into a plateau where they just like playing in a box formation on the instrument, just a simple box. They don't know where to go outside of that box. If you know some theory or your modes, you can go anywhere. It's endless.
We have to sit down with this man. You charge pretty good money to do teaching things like that?
I don't know how good it is, but
you're not going to retire doing it,
right? I charge a fair price.
Fair price,
yeah.
okay.
And
we will have
I
to sit
prefer
down.
hour lessons because you get more out of it.
And the whole dollar's worth for the hour.
Well,
right?
they usually go long, and I don't charge extra.
Sweet.
Yeah. So, I don't look at it at that. What I look at is if somebody's engaging enough where they are so much enjoying it and getting so much out of it, I'd rather give them that, That to me
I knew I liked you right off the start. As soon as I shook this man's hand. And we've been talking for a while now, and I just, as soon as I was like, this is a good dude right here. He takes care of people.
Thank you.
So do you think you need the theory to write music, I guess?
You don't necessarily need theory to write music. A lot of people starting out, kids, they'll write, throw a bunch of chords together that they have no idea what that means, but they are putting chords together. But then when you're starting to study a little bit of theory, and with those chords you're understanding, oh, I could have gone here, I could have gone there, I could have gone here. Oh, this bridge part that I'm writing right now, because of that theory, is allowing you that understanding of where you could go, is where you're going to leaps and bounds with your music that you're writing. So I
with
think
just minimal amounts of theory.
Right, with just minimal amounts of theory. So I think it's very important if you're writing your own music to maximize it.
That's right.
I'll sit for hours at home and just play the same group of chords but differently, and understanding all the different outlets you can create in tonal sounds with, either the length of the sustain of that chord, or if I pluck it,
pluck it, slap it,
right,
sweep
like you
it.
can pluck like that, or so I'm using the ridges
dynamics
of my
when you're
fingerprint
playing,
to make that.
Yep. And you don't ever play with a pick? It's always with your fingers?
I do. I can teach pick, but I prefer this is 5 picks.
It's 5 picks. And also, you can't get that tone from a pick.
No.
And you know where tone comes from, folks. Well, on his bass, it's that hand. On me, it's over here, because I play with a pick with that hand. So all my tone is over here. He's got dual tonage going on here, okay? Because he's got that tone, and he's got this tone. And don't give me no tone. So cut it off, okay? It's good segments here. I'm enjoying myself. I hope you all enjoying yourself. If you like what you see, like, subscribe, share. Find us in other places. Both of us are on Facebook. He does teach things. He also, just watching his videos, you might learn something. I do every time.
That's why I post them. I call them snippets online on Facebook. They're just shorter, so to speak, versions of more full-length songs that I would play in my Basstastic shows live.
I like the name Basstastic. That's awesome.
Well, something, I feel words are very powerful.
Sure.
And I learned that at a much younger age.
Doesn't sing a lick when he plays his originals, folks, but words are very powerful.
Yeah.
In fact, I hear words when you're playing the bass. Like, not, I could sing lyrics to that, but you hear a story I guess, behind
Yeah.
your bass playing
Yeah.
when you're playing.
And
And,
I
and it's
think-
just you by yourself.
And that's part of like how you internalize it will be completely different from the other person, so they're going to hear a different version of the story
Nice.
or a different story altogether
Nice.
because of how it feels to them when they're taking that in, which is what I really like. Probably one of the best compliments I got about about my bass-tastic shows is I was playing the York Harbor Inn. I was playing
Okay.
for like a year and a half. I did two weekends there for the year and a half roughly, and this couple came in, and it's kind of a touristy area, very upscale dining. This couple came in, and the guy kept saying, "Play some James Taylor, play some James Taylor," and I'm like, he's a great musician, but I don't know any James Taylor, and I can't sing like him. So, and then his wife came up to me afterwards. She gave me a tip, and she's like, "Please don't play any James Taylor. You're way better than James Taylor," which I thought was a nice compliment.
Anyone seen James Taylor play the bass, folks? Nice. I had recently a nice compliment from you on Facebook. I was scrolling through, and he's like, "Oh, I'm going on a podcast. A producer hit me up." I'm like, "Wow, my 4th video, and I'm a producer.
You are.
Sweet, sweet. I'm feeling it. I'm feeling it, Daryl, and I appreciate it. I appreciate it." Would you tell us about your first band experience? I think you kind of touched on it a little bit earlier, but let's get a little.
That was the first kind of more professional.
Yeah, let's get out into. You're out into the field now, like playing.
Well, I'll give you. I'm only going to tell this story about the same band because it helped me get a lot of people that had never played on stage when I hosted open mics. So this same band that I was talking about earlier, that I didn't know any notes, we had a gig lined up, Halloween gig, in Jackman, Maine, at the Moosehead Lodge.
Okay, I've
And
played
we-
at some Mooseheads.
We
Yeah.
had to dress up in a costume and all that. I didn't think anything of it. This whole time I'm learning the songs, we're rehearsing, we're playing, getting together weekly. And then it was like a few weeks before the gig, I started thinking, I never played in front of people. Yeah. I'm like, and I started fixating on that. Like heavy duty fixating, losing sleep fixating.
Oof.
Like, I've only played in basements, garages, and rehearsing with this great band. And I'm like,
They've all played many times.
oh,
on
many
stage.
times
Okay.
they were played out, and they were all like, matter of fact, when we started playing clubs, they had to assume responsibility of me because I wasn't of age yet to be in a club. So I had to it was a clause or something. But anyways, and we have to dress up for this. So it's hours, like 4 or 5 hours away from here. And we drive all the way into Maine. And the whole way up, I am like crawling out of my skin thinking, what did I do to myself? Now I gotta play in front of people. Like, I was literally scared shitless.
Yeah.
Just in my head, scared. So
Did you reach out to any of the band members?
no.
Okay.
I drove up with Peter, the guitarist, but I never let on that I was
They knew.
mentally kind of screwed. So we're there. They put us up, obviously, for the night. And before going down, taking the stage, we're in one of the rooms, and Pete's like, all right, let's sit down and go through a few tunes. And he starts going through every song we played at rehearsal, Pink Houses, and, all the different tunes. And he's like, all right, let's play through Pink Houses. I'm like, what's that? And he's like, by John Cougar. I'm like, I have no idea what you're talking about. And he's like, what? What's wrong with you? And I'm like, I don't know. What is it? And he's playing it, and it's literally as if I've never heard that tune in my entire life. And then he's going through many tunes. Again, I didn't know at all a single song that he was playing. It was like listening to something for the first time. I had 1,100,000,000% mind block. Like literally mind block.
Wow.
And this is minutes, half hour or so before taking stage. And like the whole band's in the room. Now they're getting pissed at me because they don't know if I'm joking or what. And I'm like, I literally had no idea. And now we have to get ready. I was going as a vampire. I brought these pants, jeans or something with me that I hadn't worn in a long time. I go in, the zipper breaks and it's wide open. And I'm like, what am I going to do? Like, I can't wear the pants I came up here in. So thank God a bass, is covering that. But I'm wide open, right? So...
Forgot to wear his undies too, folks.
And this is the God honest truth. As we're leaving the hotel room, walking down the corridor, down the stairs, I felt like I was going to my death. Literally.
Wow.
Sweating, literally riddled in such fear I've never felt ever in my life.
Stage fright's real.
And we get down there, and we're going up to the stage, and to this day I remember myself thinking, I don't know what I'm going to do. I have not a clue what I'm going to do. I don't know any of these songs at all. Like, no idea. Get on stage. I tune the bass. Yes, I could do that. And then
Thank goodness.
Our singer, she also played keyboards. So I leaned over and I'm like, Diana, what is the first note of the first song? Please, just the note. She says an A. And I hit that A coming into the song, and every song flooded like Niagara Falls.
Almost fell off stage.
Back into my head.
Wow.
Like from that, like completely, I mean, I'm getting goosebumps talking about it still, because it was the most freaking weirdest thing that's ever happened to me musically, is that straight stage fright. It's a real thing. And every song came back to me in an instant. And the sound guy that traveled with us, he's like, at the end of the night, I'm like sweating. I was just a hot mess. And because it's now adrenaline's coming out of you.
Not even wearing makeup anymore.
No,
it's
no.
gone.
And, I didn't bite any necks. I was, a vampire. And at the end of the night, the sound guy, he was like, dude, you killed it. You were like the best up there. And I don't know how, like to this day, that I pulled that off.
Wow.
But, one of the things that I think attributed to it is I was relentless in learning this material inside and out. So I had done the woodshedding, the homework, everything, the preparation that you have to go through to perform live at a gig. I already had that someplace back here. And it just something... it needed to be triggered.
Yeah.
And her telling me the first note of the first song, that was the,
I have similar problems. Like, I'll step up to a mic and, like, have no idea what the first word to the song is. And I've played this song hundreds of times. It's an original.
Right.
I lived the words.
It's your own word.
And I'm like, what? What's the song? You got to ask someone who doesn't even pay attention to the words what the first word is. And they're like, the.
Right.
Oh, and you just, the whole song comes out. And it's as
just
simple
like
as
that.
the.
And I used to host open mics, and it was all ages.
Okay.
And you'd get a lot of young players, and I saw the fear that I had. So I would tell them that story, and every single time they got up and played. After hearing, they're like, you had stage fright? Because they had seen me. They might have been coming to the open mic 10 times, but never would get up. And then I'd go over and I'm like, hey, bud, do you play? Yeah. Well, why haven't you got up? I can't go and play on that stage. I'm like, why not? And I'd see the fear. And I'd just say, hey, listen, I got you. I'm on stage with you.
Yep.
And it's my job to make sure you succeed.
Nice.
So I always will be in your back pocket. So remember that. And then I tell them a quicker version of the same story of Stage Fright.
Wow.
And they just can't believe it. And every time those kids would get up and play. you know.
Was that that was obviously a cover band. It wasn't an original band that you
Yeah.
were in. Yeah. Did you do any
Oh,
original
you mean
stuff shortly after that?
at the Moose Club?
Yeah, that
That was all covers.
all covers.
No originals.
Okay. So I guess this question may or may not proceed to you, but could any of the bands that you were in throughout your lifetime define the time in your life that you were in that band? Like you could easily go, "Oh, I was in this band. I got divorced. I was in this band. My car broke down. Like, my girlfriend broke up with me, or I got laid for the first time."
Well, I wouldn't say.
Does music make that connection to you? I guess is.
Music has always been very therapeutic to me in general. Growing up in a very volatile household,
Okay.
my parents, they were working musicians, drunk all the time, and stuff like that. So, I would hibernate in the basement, and this was my medicine. Just to give me some normalcy, I guess, and
Sure.
concentrate on something else that's positive. But back in the 90s, I was doing writing, like I said, on bass. I had a lot of different things, but I would try to play with some different drummers, and no drummer really got what I was doing. And some, I think even my brother had said to me, "That's not even musical. What are you doing?" So, but the thing is, negativity to me, I look at it like, well, I'll show you. I'm going to make it musical if it isn't, for what you're saying. So what I got a Tascam 4-tracker, and I was doing some 4-track stuff of my songs.
Right over there.
And that was kind of like my looper. I would create tracks and then layer my tracks with other,
Yep.
things, comping chords, harmonics, whatever, some soloing. And then I was asked to go to this party and jam in Raymond, and I knew the singer and the guitarist, but not the drummer. I hadn't met him yet. And we played a bunch of tunes and stuff, and then they were taking a break. And I started playing a Randy Coven tune,
Okay.
and that bass player I spoke about, and he comes running in, back into the garage. He's like, "Dude, that's Randy Coven," and I'm like, "Yeah."
Dude, I know.
And I'm like, "How do you know him?" He's like, "I love his stuff. What are you kidding?" And he sat right down, and immediately started playing this song with me.
Nice.
And he and I played, I don't know, it was to a point he and I was playing, and the guitarist and singer came in, they just sat down and watched us. And I'm like, oh my God, because then I started to play, because he's like, "What else do you have?" And I started playing some of my stuff. And he's like, "What is that? That's sick, dude." And I'm like, and he's playing to it. And I've
Nice.
never had a drummer be able to play to the stuff. So it was like such eye-opening. He was like the other side of my brain. I was one side, and then there was nothing that I could play or do that he wasn't right there with me. And with him, he's such a dynamic
And it wasn't
drummer.
until you both touched that
Right.
place together.
Yes.
Because it was
So-
confusing to him at first, and then
And then he started coming to my house. We started playing a lot together, just bass and drums, and recording. And then we were hired to do a studio album with this guy, Bill, a keyboardist singer. And we would have rehearsals at my house. This is kind of like referring to what you're talking about. So it was the, taking stuff that I've been writing and finding a drummer to be able to channel this stuff through was huge for
Yep.
me as a musician.
yeah.
And then we started working with Bill, and during a break from rehearsing Bill's album,
Yep.
they left the room, and Scott and I started to play some stuff that we were just working on. And Bill comes in, he's like, "What was that?" And I'm like, "Oh, it's stuff we're writing." And he's like, he trashed his studio project and wanted to play with us.
Nice.
And we created Twist in Time,
Okay.
which was a wicked, like, fusion, I guess, type band. And Bill was very well schooled in Berkeley.
Okay.
And so it was weird because I still didn't know a lot of theory at all, and barely my modes.
Right.
Still, even at that point, and that was early '90s. So, but I had all this stuff written, and I could not put a bass on without writing something. It just flowed out of me so much, and stuff to me that didn't make sense. Every time we got together for rehearsal each week, Bill would walk in. He says, "What do you got new?" And he always wanted something new, and I'd be playing this, and he'd start in, and Scott would start in, and by the end of the night, we had all the makings of another brand new tune. And and Bill would say to me often, he's like, "What I really love about how you write is, theory-wise, it doesn't make sense how I'm taught at Berkeley. Like they would throw you out of school for writing this way in Berkeley," as he would say. And he says, "But somehow you make it make sense. You're able to take those right turns and fall where it's okay, even though it's not proper."
Right, there's some bassists out there that'll say there is no wrong note when you're playing the bass.
Right. Yeah.
It's just a passing. I'm just hitting that note and passing to wherever I'm going to land.
Right.
Doesn't matter. I mean, it matters, but there is no wrong note on the bass, because if it's not the right note, it becomes a percussive backline that's in the lick that you're writing, per se.
Right.
That's
Yep.
awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So that
Yeah, bass players, they have it easy. You're right, Mr. Jonathan.
So that band was, like I said, Twist in Time, and it was just bass, drums, and keys. And we wrote some pretty incredible stuff, pretty aggressive stuff, like, I guess, Dream Theater-ish type direction, so to speak. And it was a lot of fun, but it was very defining to me. In the sense where the only thing I ever did musically was a kind of like a typical bass player playing covers,
Right.
whether it's southern rock or hard rock or some country or blues, walking bass line, stuff like that. But I had this whole other bag of crap that I was writing that I just didn't realize where that was coming from
Yep.
until that happened in my life. And that just opened me
Wow.
musically
That's
up
awesome.
even more.
It's a great story, man.
Yeah.
It's a great story.